I'm going to get started with a little bit of an introduction. Um, I'm sure everyone here, is aware of our guest, Titonton Duvante, an eminent house, techno, broken beat, jazz, classical, music producer, musician from Columbus, Ohio. So, Titonton, are you originally from Columbus, or is that just a place that you're associated with?
No, born and raised, actually.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. Cool. So Midwest fresh.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Midwest, U.S. Born and raised.
So
Soaked up the vibes for sure. Yeah.
to anyone who doesn't know, because I'm not an expert at all, can you explain a little bit about what the Midwest is? And because I think it includes. Does it include Detroit and Chicago? Is
Oh,
that
100%.
correct? Yeah.
Yes. Yes, indeed. So yeah, funny thing is, yeah, Detroit and Chicago, they definitely get all the limelight as it should be. Um, we here in Columbus, as well as places like Minneapolis, we have our sound. It's kind of a mishmash of influence of being so centrally located. We
Hmm.
get the soul and vibe of Detroit. We get the jack and the vibe of Chicago, but it's really easy for us to get to New York as well and get that vibe, get that sound, and everything just kind of trickles down here. So it's definitely a melting pot for sound. But yeah,
Yeah. I was going to
and
say melting pot actually.
yeah, and the Midwest, blue collar for sure, working class vibes, and we're just trying to express ourselves. It's nice.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, tip of the hat to Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis. I mean, there are other Midwest spots happening. Kalamazoo doing their thing. Tip of the hat to all of them. Enough respect and enough influence for
Yeah,
sure.
great. Yeah, so I just want to sort of you to take us back to, well, actually, I want to take us all back if that's okay. Can I take us back to the early days to Body Release,
Oh wow. Okay.
which
Yeah.
was, I guess, a sort of a future supergroup because it was you, Todd Signs, was Charles in there as well?
Yeah. Charles Noel archetype, and uh, he now goes by Tex Beak, but his name is Michael Sevchek. So started off as a quartet, techno band, techno group, whatever, and we were ravers just trying to be creative and drawing from all of our influences. I mean, we all liked everything: industrial, shoegaze, hip hop, electronic, yeah, and just a melting pot of everything. Some of the conversations we would have about music would be, ooh, wow, really insane. We would always joke about Coil. Actually, we all loved Coil, and would all kind of try and stake a claim on who was more influenced by Coil in the band. So a big inside joke
Yeah.
from us is Coil. Coil is it's my band. No, it's my band. It's a silly inside joke, but really big influence.
So were you all like students at the time? I mean, this is, I guess, what,
Yes.
91, 93. I mean, like the track I was going to play is from 93. So,
Yeah, we were all students from at the Ohio State University. Charles and Todd were kind of, what do they call it? There are individual studies where you could take kind of crossover different fields,
yeah.
independent art studies where Todd studied music synthesis, but also industrial and graphic design. Um, I was audio engineering and music composition until they dropped the audio engineering part, and I focused solely on in the music department. Um, Mike was visual arts. Like we were artsy kids
Yeah.
studying at
Yeah.
a university. Yeah.
Cool. Well, I just want to stick this on then. This is just a video, and I believe the track never got released. It's called Magnetic.
Correct.
Yeah, I just wanted to set the scene. And I mean,
Yeah.
after we listen to it, if you could just explain a little bit more to Tonton about the kind of vibe at the time, your kind of, party stuff, DJ,
Sure.
and, that would be awesome. So I'm just going to share the screen. So if anyone's trying to get in while we're doing the video, I'm afraid they might be waiting, but, I'll do my best. You shouldn't be tardy. Okay, so let's see if this works. Can everyone see that? I think you can, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll full screen it.
Nice. That's so funny.
Do my little. I had to do a little fade out. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So,
it's fine. Yeah,
so yeah. So that's a bit of scene setting there to Tonton. So
yeah,
sounds
sure.
like it's got a bit of a debt to I guess the bleep and bass sound coming from like
Oh,
Sheffield and stuff.
oh, 100%. LFO super frequencies album. Super, super huge influence on us. Oh my goodness. Yeah, huge, huge.
Which is good to hear because obviously all that UK stuff was heavily influenced by America, so it's really nice to
Right.
hear that there was. So yeah, what were you, what was happening? What was the vibe? What were you guys doing? I guess you were going to lots of parties in the desert or something like that. Yeah.
That was a lot of we were definitely all hardcore ravers. We would do live PAs, indoor outdoor parties all around the Midwest. That was usually our closing track when we were doing a live PA. The rhythm section that was all Charles. The bass line was Todd actually playing live on a 202 with tiny keys. All of the organ and chords, that's all me live. So none of that is sequenced. You can kind of hear some of the sloppy playing in that, but that's okay. But
It's of
yeah,
of a time, of the time, or
yeah,
whatever.
for sure. Sloppy drum loops. No, they're pretty tight. Charles is really good. But yeah, that song really kind of represents everyone in the band, kind of equally contributing to the track. Uh, Charles, it was pretty incredible what he did at the time. On a very rickety, not even a 1200 series turntable, he would drop in vocal samples and also beats like live while we are performing. So he would function almost as a human sampler. Um, as far as the actual live shows, myself and Mike would split the main composition duties of the tracks. Um, and then we would have our various workstations. We'd go back and forth. So while one track was playing, we would load up all the sounds for the next track.
Wow.
Yeah, and then, but we would also have a set of samples and sounds that we would play live over each other's tracks. Yeah, it was a bit a bit of the times for sure.
Wild, yeah,
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 yeah.
and I just wanted to sort of ask you a little bit about your drum and bass and jungle background because
Okay.
you were
Yeah,
saying
sure.
that's quite a big influence. We're going to get into some sort of quintessential Titonton tracks in a second, but I just think you were known for playing a lot of drum and bass and jungle. When was that Titonton?
Actually, from the get go, it's the thing that's really funny is a lot of people in more so in Europe they know me as a techno producer. I don't really know how to pigeonhole myself, but in the U.S., a lot of people did not know that I even made music for a while, more so until the late '90s, and I was a drum and bass DJ. I would only play drum and bass DJ sets. Occasionally, I would play a house or techno set, but drum and bass. That yeah, kind
Yeah.
of crazy. Yeah,
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, it's a little
yeah,
bit like some of the Detroit guys who play like ghetto tech in Detroit, but then also play, house and techno in Europe,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
going back to that. Like, if I talk about, I don't know if a lot of people know that Evan Bags also is from a drum and bass background, and yeah, oh yeah, he's a big drum and bass DJ. And used to work at Breakbeat Science in New York. That's how we know each other. We've known each other for like 18 years, and I remember running across him in Europe, and he's like, "Okay, let's talk about your tracks from back in the day." He's like, "I know you from coming in the shop trying to get to all the drum and bass tunes." He's like, "I did not know you were making tracks like that in the late '90s." And I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "There it is." So yeah, yeah, a lot of surprise for a lot of U.S. U.S. Party goers, punchers, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah.
So it's fair to say then that that has influenced your sound in house and techno, isn't it?
Oh my goodness. More influential than anything else. Like drum and bass, especially the reinforced camp, number one influence, followed only shortly or closely by minimal classical. Like I know that's a weird influences, but like Steve Reich, Philip Glass,
Hmm.
and then Mark Digo reinforced. Number one influences on what I do.
Yeah, but there was a heavy classical influence on the drum and bass and jungle, in terms of like the use of the strings and the use of the cinematic atmosphere. So
Oh,
I
sure.
can see
Yeah.
there being a big crossover there. Yeah, so I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your classical training to Tonton because
Okay.
that's
Yeah.
influenced your music as well. So you said that you studied, you told me that you had to learn how to play most instruments. Is that correct?
Yeah. I play quite a few instruments. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
What, how,
So,
like, can you give us a few examples?
uh, I'm probably pretty adept at about a dozen. Uh,
Wow.
yeah. Um, I don't know. The first instrument I studied was violin.
Mm.
So yeah, violin. Uh, I play the cello. I play the double bass, clarinet, alto saxophone, trombone, tuba, trumpet, uh, the drums, bass guitar. I don't, yeah, a bunch of instruments. I don't know.
And you said that was a like part of your course. Was it to do because you were studying composition or something like
Yeah,
that?
so in music composition, they're basically you have to take these classes that are called methods, and they're grouped by grouping of the instruments. So you have a course that's woodwind methods, you have a course that's brass methods, a class that's percussion methods, and basically you have to basically be able to at least play all the instruments in that group in order to be able to properly compose for them. Yeah, it's pretty rigorous training.
What,
Um,
what was it like to have to? I mean, I guess this must have been in a fairly short amount of time. So,
yeah,
what
sure.
was it like to have to kind of intensely learn lots of instruments? Was
Oh, I loved it. It was a great challenge. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. It really got you. I don't know, more inside the possibility of what you could do with that particular instrument. I mean, I was pretty well versed in the string instruments, and just being able to know how to play a muted trombone and being able to like work with that, or like different stops with different reeds, and how that can affect the timbre of a saxophone or a woodwind instrument, clarinet. Like really knowing that translates into it just extends your palette when you're writing for ensemble of across the board ensemble that includes strings, woodwinds, brass. So yeah,
it?
no, is it was great learning
So
experience.
would you say then, I mean, it's not an easy question to answer, but was rhythm more important or actually like the actual tuning as such, you know, the kind of the notes?
Um, of equal importance.
Mm,
I, I think getting the basics and the mechanics of each instrument down is important. Yeah, sure, being able to hit the notes, cool. Like I get it. I don't. Yeah, that is a difficult question to answer because in my eyes, they're both of equal importance.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I was just wondering then how that translates to kind of electronic music.
Well, you. I mean, if you think about it, part of the reason why electronic music is so exciting is the possibilities are endless. While
Mm,
you can do um, a variety of sounds with a violin. You know, you can pizzicato. You can do a Bartok pizzicato where you pluck the strings really hard and it hits the back, and or you can play ponticello. You can play close to the bridge and create really nice overtones. You can use your bow as a percussive instrument, but you can only do so much.
mm,
In with the synthetic sounds, it's limitless. Whatever
yeah,
your
yeah.
imagination. So it's the jump from okay, I have these instruments, I can do all these crazy things with them. This is amazing. This is incredible. To I have this insane, out of this world, alien sound in my head, and wait a minute, I can mess with these LFOs and these frequencies and make this sound come to life, like anything you can imagine. So
Mm,
you go from hardcore instruments and their sounds to a limitless sound palette.
mm.
Incredible.
So I guess electronic music was very attractive to you then at a certain point. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, ever since I was a child, 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I was just going to say, let's listen to some of your tracks, but just very briefly, what can you give us an example of some really early influences that you were listening to when you were young? Because I know that you've also got you're into gothic music and you know a
Yeah,
lot of yeah. So
yeah.
what kind of things were sort of when you were a teenager to Titonton?
I mean, how far back do you want to
It's
go?
up to you, you know.
I mean, there's preteen years and there's teenage years. Like, not necessarily gothic, but a very huge influence on me will also be the Art of Noise. For
Yeah.
quite some time, that was my favorite band. I couldn't stop talking about them, and yeah, incredible. But I really like the sonic textures of the Cocteau Twins.
Hmm.
Uh, super huge influence. Just and also the way the Elizabeth Fraser's vocals are not necessarily about what is being said, but more about creating an atmosphere
Hmm.
and being an additional instrument. That's highly influential on what I do as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I mean, the list could go on and on. All your typical influences like Depeche Mode, huge,
Hmm.
huge. New Order, huge. Yeah, I could keep going.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like how much
So
how much time do we have?
no, it's all good. But yeah,
Yeah,
so fair to say some 80s stuff then.
yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, the art of noise, just the more you
yeah.
get the
Join the
more you
mission.
get into
Yes.
the art of noise, it's insane what you know, there's supposed to be things in people's studios that are what would Trevor Horn do now is on the wall, and that's what when you're stuck, you look at that poster, you know, like
Yeah, seriously. All his projects, he's amazing. The stuff he did with Yes and with what was that crew? Video Killed the Radio Star. Like he's been
Buggles.
there. Yeah, more
Did,
than
did he
people
do
know.
Frankie Goes to Hollywood as well? Was he involved with that? My
You know,
memory.
I don't recall.
Yeah. If
Yeah,
any,
he did. Yeah, he did.
right. So I'm
Yeah,
right.
they're big
Yeah.
hits, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Relax. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Trevor Horn. Whoa.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Serious business right there. Trevor
Yeah.
Horn is woo.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, if anyone out there doesn't know who Trevor Horn is, is a, I guess, a super producer. Was you know in
Yeah,
the
100%.
'80s, like
Trevor
everything.
Horn, Stock Aikman, Waterman. I mean, I'm influenced by them as well, and also Quincy Jones. I
Mm,
have a lot of admiration for Quincy Jones. I love the work that he did, especially in The Wiz.
hmm.
Some of the music in that is so incredible. Like all the scenes when they enter the inner Oz or whatever. Like oh man, that is some
Mm.
yo.
Yeah.
Quincy Jones. Shout out to Quincy Jones.
Yeah, yeah. DJ Spinner did a really good Quincy Jones mix a long
Oh,
time ago. And
nice.
it was on those it was on those like proper sort of like homage, you know. It was just like, and there's stuff in there, and I was like, I didn't know that was Quincy. I literally, like, I didn't know
Yeah,
that was Quincy Jones.
yeah.
You know what I mean? You're like, oh my god, yeah, yeah. So Titonton, let's take it back to the old school a little bit, right?
Okay, sure.
We've selected three tracks which are quintessential Titonton tracks, just to give everyone a bit of a set the scene, get Titonton's vibe. Bear in mind this is absolutely the tip of the iceberg. So he's made many other types of music as well. So we're going to see some music in a bit. So I've made a little playlist here. So number one. So before I play them, I want you to just say a little bit about. So number one is Fetish to
Yep,
Tonton.
yep.
So what's this from, and when's it from, and what was your thoughts?
Fetish was released in March of 1998. It was the first release from my label Residual Recordings.
Hmm.
Um, Essentially, a lot of my titles are double entendres, and the fetish in this track was with morphing and twisting sound.
Hmm.
That was the fetish, as it were. The track itself was made in I'm trying to remember if I made it in '96 or '97. There are a group of tracks that I made the period of time between 1995 and 1999. Wrote a lot of music. A lot of it was rejected. I was really trying to get signed to some larger underground labels that I won't name. Got got a lot of rejection letters, and
Oh,
um, every track that was on the first residual release was sent out on demos and rejected. So
which is interesting because that's seen as a really classic album. So, as usual, you were vindicated, weren't you? Because when it came out, people loved it.
yeah, I got yeah, a lot of people were like, okay, what is this? Like, oh wow, what is this? Some really larger names were like, I feel like kind of '98 was a I released quite a bit of music that year, and I also kind of feel like that was kind of when people started to take a little tiny bit more notice.
Yeah, and just before we play the track, can you just sort of explain a little bit about the constellation that you were in the US and Europe? You know, the sort of at that time who was playing, who was a fan of yours, Titonton? Who were you a fan of? And did you feel part of a fraternity or?
Uh, so, um, myself and my crew kind of called the crew that I ran with, we called it the Melodic Techno Mafia. And it
Mhm,
was myself, Dan Curtin, and Morgan Geist. We
mhm,
were all Dan's from Cleveland, Morgan's from New Jersey, but went to college in Oberlin, Ohio, and I was from Columbus. And we just all kind of made this melodic, funky, ever morphing, kind of twisted take on techno, drawing influences from everything in the kitchen sink. And that is definitely the crew that I rolled with. And then, just shortly thereafter, I would definitely put John Tejada in there. And, well, incredible artist. And I also discovered Fabrice League
mhm.
shortly thereafter. So I would kind of lump us together. I'm not nearly as good of a player as Ian O'Brien, but I would kind of throw him in there as well. Uh,
Yeah. And what about, I mean, you said that you started to get some love. So what kind of bigger names were digging your sound? I mean, it must have been quite radical at the time. So was it kind of, I guess you were getting some attention from it, right?
well, I mean, just a year before that, Matthew Herbert was giving a lot of shouts. He really liked that EP and that this fetish track actually quite
Hmm.
a bit. Been cool with Claude Young for a while, but he really started to notice as far as composition wise, I would say around '98. Even though DJing wise, we had our paths had crossed quite a bit, starting from like '94 ish.
Mm.
Daniel Bell started. He actually, we've been tight with him for years. He kind of started to notice in '97. Um, who else? The craziest surprise for me, just because he was such an influence, was Digo from For Hero.
Mm-hmm.
He actually hit me up once he got the test pressing for my first EP. He sent me a message straight away, which I could not believe. Like, he got my address and phone number from Dan Curtin and was just like, yo, what are you doing, mate? Like, yes. So that was a huge moment for me.
Exciting and quite
Yeah,
full circle if you think of your influence from the jungle scene. So, yeah,
yeah.
that's not a bad person to have as a fan, is it?
No,
And
and
you released on 2000 Black, didn't you?
yeah, that was crazy. insane, actually, insane for me. Like I was before that came my submission to Deeper Shade of Techno, which is Digo and Mark. They're kind of Detroit techno comps. I was on part two, and yeah, I couldn't believe that I was asked to contribute a track to that.
Wow.
That yeah, it's like, oh, we got Claudio on there, and Octave One, Underground Resistance. No big deal. Whenever you have something ready, just send something over, and I'm like, you want me to do what with what? So yeah, some pretty wild moments. And speaking of people that I've talked to that have at least given props, Mike Banks, which is crazy for me, like, and Jeff Mills as well.
Mm.
To have both of them say that they like what I do, blown away,
Yeah.
blown away. Yeah.
Yeah. Really nice. Yeah. Well, well deserved. I mean, well
Oh,
deserved, Titonton. Yeah. So let's listen to Fetish then.
okay. Sure.
Just gonna play this from the beginning to Tonton. The beginning's got some kind of wild stuff
Yeah,
in it.
the
Yeah.
beginnings. Yeah, the intro's crazy. Yeah, you can.
Yeah. So just
Yeah.
to say to everyone, we're not going to play full tracks. We're just going to play 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and then just want to set the scene, give you all a bit of a vibe to Tonton's music. So and then we'll move into.
Such a crazy one to start off with, but yeah.
Okay. Well, this was the first track in the folder that you sent me, and
Yeah,
I thought this is dope. So
it's the oldest one.
yeah. Oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
Everyone hear that? Yeah, cool. Just going to say to Tonton, this sounds like what they were playing at Sativa in Edinburgh. Those
Oh,
guys,
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Landstrom and Tobias Schmidt and all those guys. Exactly like I bet this was hammered there.
Probably, yeah. Funny to hear it. Yeah. Oh, Danny, I can't hear you.
Michael asked, is that a really distorted 707?
No, it is definitely distortion, for sure. So Fun fact is I've only had two drum machines in my whole, maybe three, my whole entire life. Those are all samples, 808 and 909 samples, and I got, it's called, I believe, Wave Boy, and they are third-party plugins for my Workhorse and Sonic EPS 16 Plus, and I just gotten those. They're not plugins, but like they're third-party effects. The EPS 16 Plus, the Plus was for effects, and uh, basically I was manually using multi effects and altering them by hand, and I was running various percussion sounds from the sampler through the distortion, and yes, mangling them. Yeah.
So you had a full hardware setup, I guess, in those days, yeah?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No computers at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. And then next up is Persevere, and I put this in the middle because the other two, Fetish and Boudoir, are both quite gnarly, banging. Persevere is, you could describe as a little bit more melodic. So, what's the story behind this, and when's it from, Titonton?
Persevere is written in 2015. It came out on an Italian label called Yay that I'm currently working on an album for. I'm about halfway done with it, and I think some people are going to be surprised. Basically, I wanted to make a kind of deeper dance floor track that was a little bit quirky, and a lot of my tests for tracks, at least mentally, is would Daniel Bell play this track? And that was kind of the influence, like thinking of like the Perlon Camp and Daniel Bell, kind of like melodic but minimal, and just trying to I was going through a lot of life changes in 2015, and Persevere, that track name is not an accident. It's just kind of like, even through all this time, I feel like a small ego and staying true to your roots, what you do will see through and you'll persevere. So
Yeah, yeah. And just want to ask you about the way your sound evolved, or because you get love now, or have done the last 5 6 years in sort of different quarters, maybe, or it's interesting, isn't it? So you're playing
it
some
is.
so is that like, I mean, have you changed your sound, or is it just that the people in those scenes have sort of, do you think they just discovered you more recently, or what's
I, I don't really know. I think the whole the diggers that really kind of became more prevalent around that time, even though doing a lot of blind buying and kind of fell into my music, they started to become more known. Like the whole Slow Life crew. I
mm,
mean, definitely tip of the hat to them. I honestly have to say that they are partially responsible for interest in my music again. I can't deny that. You
mm,
know them, and also the whole Uruguay Nicholas Lutz.
yeah.
Who, it was really crazy to see him DJing, one of my favorites, and him to be like, "Yeah, have all your stuff. I got it when it came out. I play it all the time, and it's really cool to see people getting into it. Some really people that I'm surprised are like all the Apollonia crew is
Mm.
really into my stuff as well. So like to have like Shanky be like, "Yeah, I have always dug your stuff." I'm like, "Really?" Just like big surprises. And
Yeah,
Zip as well. Like that, it really surprised me to find out that these guys are into my stuff. Like,
yeah. I mean, it's great to see, and I mean, I kind of, I think we had this conversation before, but Mike Huckabee, rest in peace. He was somebody else who, he really got a lot of love outside of the Detroit house scene, and
yeah,
I DJ'd with him in London, and it was like a masterclass. You watch someone play, and you're like, yeah, he's played London about 150 times, and he knows exactly what to play at 6 a.m. in London. You know
yes,
what I mean?
yeah, 100%.
And
He's
yeah,
incredible. But
yeah,
rest in
yeah.
peace.
Yeah,
Oh,
rest in peace, Mike.
oh, whew.
Yeah. But
Yes.
yeah, just interesting, isn't it? And really inspiring. I think for everyone in the group to just remember that, what you think of as your kind of crew or your sort of territory, you would be surprised sometimes how you can be, kind of appreciated by people that you wouldn't expect it.
Yeah. Yeah. There have definitely been a lot of surprises. I'm like, really, you like my stuff? Like,
Yeah.
okay. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. A
Yeah,
lot of
well,
surprises.
testament I think to Tonton that you don't really have a genre, and also you're transcending, what people would think where you're from, what you're doing, who you're out there, aren't you? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, let's listen to Persevere then, folks. So this is from 2015, so it's a little bit more recent. So to Tonton, do you like just play it a little bit further in on this one because it's
Yeah,
quite
sure. Yeah, it's a long one. Yeah.
yeah. So what sort of time? 2 or 3 minutes, you said?
I say yeah, about three is a good time to go in.
Okay, cool. Excuse the skipping, folks.
Uh, can you unmute, Danny?
Yeah, sorry, I
Yeah,
always
keep
forget
going.
that. Yeah, just to say, interesting how you really like increasing the volume of your parts in the tracks. Like you're very sort of dynamic with that, and that's something
Yeah,
that I've really always enjoyed, and probably makes you stand out a bit because other people just keep everything flat, don't they?
yeah. I mean, I like for a track to kind of breathe and have ebb and flow for sure. Just kind of like a lot of electronic to me music to me is actually a miniature classical music piece that has different movements. So yeah, I mean, it evolves, it builds, and it breaks down. So
Mm.
same with DJ sets as well. In a DJ set, I like to have an introduction and a building and a crazy part, and then just kind of break down and a slower part. Yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah, so the
it's
class.
cool to bang out, but to have like an ebb and flow to grow, to build, and to break down. Really, really big overarching theme in a lot of the music that I make.
Yeah, so the classical background and the sort of structure influencing you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Boudoir Titonton.
Oh,
I noticed a theme. I'm not going to get into it because it might make you go red, but you seem to have a racy theme to your song titles, sir.
I do. And I can talk about that a little bit. So, it's not because I'm a pervert or anything like that. Well, maybe a little bit, but no. I'm really interested in psychology and the nature of how people interact based on what they're accustomed to as far as human sexuality, how they've been raised, how they've their customs, their traditions, their sense of morals, and how they interact because of that. It's really it's always been very fascinating to me. I mean, sure, there was a time where I considered being a psychiatrist, and I probably would have done a lot of sex therapy, but that's not where I landed. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Did you realize though that most therapists that are completely insane are basically just avoiding facing that by helping other people?
sure.
So yeah, yeah, it's a long conversation, but yeah, I've not really met any sane therapist. Mind you, there is no such thing as sane, is there? But you know
No,
what I
there
mean?
isn't. Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
completely off my rocker.
Yeah,
So,
I can tell by the music. So boudoir. So do you title your tracks then to actually sort of provoke people, kind of?
um, like I said, with fetish, there's always kind of a double entendre.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
especially with naming the tracks, it's not random. It's usually something that's going on in my life or looking back on something that's occurred.
Mm.
I was in a really tumultuous relationship at the time, but the physical part of the relationship was, yeah, I do have a track called Double Entendre. I think someone's commenting on that. A really tumultuous relationship at the time, and but the physical part of the relationship was absolutely insane. So that is a direct reflection of what was going on in my life at the time.
Hmm.
So the boudoir was mad. It was both maddening, but a sense of extremity and also relief. Like stress and relief is also a big theme in a lot of the music that I make as well. So
That's interesting because stress is a big theme in a lot of the music I make.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, yeah. So
So
yeah,
so
let's
this
say,
one you'd be good to go kind of a bit in, so you can make sure that you can catch the. It's kind of like a almost an A B
yeah.
section in this, so you want to catch the transition from the mad A to the release part. So
Okay,
yeah.
so how many minutes in do you reckon to time?
How long is the track again? I'm trying to remember.
It is 4 minutes 51.
Oh, that's short. You want to go about maybe 2 minutes in. Should be good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So boudoir, and I'll attempt to not mute myself when I'm talking again
That's all good.
for the third time. It's just good to mute yourself because then the camera doesn't switch to me. So
Yeah.
trying to save you all from that horror. Okay, I'm joking. Here we go. Boudoir. So 2 minutes in, you said to time.
Yeah. That should be good.
Cool, cool. Oh my god.
But maybe go a little bit further back. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Okay.
The hell, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good.
That sounds like quite an interesting relationship.
Yeah. No, we fought a lot.
Sounds like chainsaws and stuff. You know, like sort of sparks. Okay, you've just transitioned to house.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
It's oh, I get it. So this is like when you're, afterwards, yeah. A
Yeah,
little bit
yeah.
of cradling,
Yep, yep, yep.
Third time lucky, yeah. Oh my god. Well, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
it's all good.
I'm half professional. I'm professional with the muting. Yeah. So Zach says, being a huge fan of Titonton, I would say his beautiful chord work and unique jacking drum percussion rhythms are what defines him most for me, as well as smooth and silky atmosphere switches like the second part of this track. Always love T. So yeah,
Hey, thanks. Thank you.
yeah, nice one, Zach. Yeah, really, definitely captured the great synopsis there. So yeah, so Titonton, I think we've done some scene setting now. People know where
Yeah.
you're at.
Okay.
So shall we jump into the production side of things
Oh
then?
my. Okay. Yeah, 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 sure.
Yeah. So I'm going to make you host, and you were going to show a track that you've worked on, and then you were going
Yeah,
to also make something from scratch. So or work on
yeah.
something. So what would you like to do first?
I think first I'm going to show the last track that I finished, and I
Hmm.
won't stay too long on that. Just kind of like, I guess, play it, kind of talk a little bit through my process of making it, some of the ideas behind it. Um, like I said, I won't go super deep into it, but yeah, just kind of get people more familiar with where my head was at with it, and then kind of use that as the basis when I start working on a track from scratch, which is crazy because I don't really have a plan for that
You
um, at
can play
all.
keyboard though.
Yeah,
That's a
I'm
good
I'm
start.
I'm pretty decent, so I don't know how much talking I'm going to do when I'm trying to make the track. Just forewarning to everyone, uh, please don't judge me. I don't know.
Hey,
I don't know what else to say.
so before you get started though, to Tonton,
Yeah.
you are now in the box. Can you give us a run through of just what you're using and also just a little bit of a idea about why you went from all the hardware to being on a computer?
Okay. Sure. Do you, does anybody want to hear anything about what was used previously on the some of the tracks that they heard, or no? Okay, yes, yes, please. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I see a lot of yeses. So my setup before was I wrote everything. My sequencer was a 12 track internal sequencer of an Sonic VFX SD. I used a lot of the internal sounds in that. My sampler and most of my drum sounds were in a Sonic original EPS, and then I upgraded to an EPS 16 Plus in '96 or '97. So you can kind of hear a change in my sounds when I got the effects in the EPS 16 Plus. That's when I started like experimenting with a lot of mangling of the sounds, hence the fetish and the boudoir. Um, I used SH Roland SH 101, a Roland Juno 106, Oberheim Matrix 6R. Um, in late uh, 97, I got a Novation drum station for the 808 and 909 sounds, and also a Boss DR 660 and a Roland TR 606, which actually was only on one track that I ever released, which is crazy. Sequential Circuits Pro 1. Um, and I think that is all of the equipment hardware wise. That's everything that I was using up until 2001. That was my setup. Um,
Did you work from home to Tonton, or did you have an external studio?
always work from home,
Oh,
even
right.
currently now. What mixer? I had a really janky. I started off with a cheap Boss 8 channel mixer, um, and then once my setup expanded, I got a Yamaha 16 channel mixer, rack mount. The mixer aspect wasn't really super important to me. Um, yeah, it was just kind of getting the sounds out there. I mean, the thing that's really crazy about the older tracks compared to what I'm doing now and being inside the box is you listen to a track like Boudoir and Fetish and like all of the tweaks on the Juno 106 and all the volume fades and all of the tweaks in the of the samples in the Ensoniq, that's all manual. It's all by hand and everything trying to like be close together within reach. Like all the fades, all I wasn't even Morgan Geist really tried to get me hip to programming MIDI patch changes and sysx, and I was just like too impatient, too lazy to do it, and so I'm like changing patches by hand and like the whole deal. Um, Going to in the box, I have full control over that, like being able to like automate mixes and go through and like micro edit every single sound. It's an advantage and a disadvantage because I spend a lot more time producing one track. Like if I have a lot of spare time, which I don't, unfortunately, it takes me about a week of all my spare time to do one track. I work super, super, super slowly, like annoyingly. And sorry to anyone that's waiting on music from me. I'm sure it's past due, and I apologize. Just it takes me so long. It's
And you talk about work to Tonton. Can you give the group a little bit of an idea about your hours? Because a lot of people in the group, a lot of people in the group have full-time jobs and families, and I think that they sometimes struggle with maybe time. So I think you'd be inspiring to explain your.
Yeah, especially during the whole the pandemic. This year, I've been working 2 jobs. I manage a deli in downtown Columbus, and I also was a tax preparer through the whole entire tax season. So from early January until I moved March 20th, I worked every single day. I didn't have any days off for
Oh God,
over 3 months.
that's
Uh,
insane.
my work schedule typically 65 to 80 hours a week. Um, I started taking Sundays off. My first Sunday off was March 21st. And then from there, I decided to start to take Sundays off. Um, Tax season just ended on May 17th, thank goodness. So I'm now working about 45 to 50 hours a week. Uh,
It's a holiday.
yeah, I mean, for me it is. And uh, I guess not really having a lot of gigs to DJ, and I don't plan on doing any more podcasts anytime recent in the near future. So I'm going to be taking I guess as soon as I'm done with this class, I'm going to be taking the next month or so to really try to finish the album and take advantage of having more free time to catch up on tracks. I mean, there's been a lot of there's been I've been busy, like honestly busy, and a lot of really sweeping life changes, like moving was a lot. I now live by myself. I haven't lived by myself since 2014. Um, I had a surgery the beginning of March, which took me out of commission for about a week. Like, yeah. I mean,
Wow.
I'm a crazy person. I was still working, but I couldn't,
Yeah.
yeah, do anything outside of that.
Sounds hectic, Titonton.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you,
a madman.
you're getting some respect in the chat, and a few people from Europe are saying like, "Wow, God, you Americans never take you don't take holiday," because like, I guess we're just lazy, but well, some of us. But
No,
it's
not
like,
really.
it's like, wow, man, like working 7 days a week for like 3 months or something.
Yeah, like I actually was kind of thinking about this. I've actually never taken a proper holiday in my whole entire adult life, not once. Where when I say proper holiday, I mean traveling somewhere and not because of music and just relaxing. I've never done it. I've
That
never
is
taken a
the
holiday.
blessing and the curse of being a touring DJ, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to pay to go to Australia. Like, phew.
I mean, sure.
So you don't go though. I think that's the thing with DJing.
Yeah.
It gives you so many holidays that you kind of don't really think you should pay for one.
I mean, in quotes, because it can be
It's not always a
it can,
holiday, is it?
it's not. It can be. It's work. It can be grueling.
Yeah, it can be
I mean,
grimy.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. But yeah, I was thinking maybe to take a holiday on my birthday this year, but I have decided not to do so because I need to finish this album.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
You'll feel great when it's finished, though, won't you?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I'm looking forward to finishing that. I mean, and a bunch of other projects. I think if people saw the amount of music that I'm working on, I think they might pass out. It's. I'll send you the list, Danny, and I think you're gonna.
Well, I remember in Berlin about 5, 10, whenever it was, you played me your kind of classical pop album. Do you remember? And it was like
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
Tears for Fearsy kind of vibes. Do you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yep, yep, yeah,
So I've there's stuff that's been a long time coming, eh?
yeah,
Yeah, join the club, join the club. Yeah,
yeah.
but yeah, in the box.
Yeah, I'm all in the box now. Part of it has to do with moving from Columbus, Ohio to New York.
Hmm.
I in Columbus the rents aren't too terrible, even though they're going up, and places are kind of spacious. So I had room for a bunch of gear, and going from that to a 225 square foot studio in Brooklyn that I lived in for about 8 years. I mean, I didn't have room for any studio equipment. Also, working with people like John Tejada.
Hmm.
Um, when we did collabs, it was almost all completely computer based, and I kind of like saw the light, and I'm like, "Yo, this is crazy," because I'm busy like turning knobs and moving faders and doing all these, and I'm like, wait. I'm like, yo, we just like did a reverse, like we flanced the drums and reversed them, and we didn't have to do them manually. Like we can like export the audio and do that. He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, what? I'm like, wait. So wait, we can fade up these tracks and fade them down, and we can automate that in the box. He's like, yeah. I'm like, what? And then like all the effects, like I want this to pan, and then I want to put a delay on it, but I want I'm like, I don't have to do that manually. It's like no. So the working in the box, I enjoy it, but I mean, I do miss the tactile. I do miss tweaking things for sure, but the amount of control inside the box is crazy. Also, I'm poor, so I can't afford a lot of gear. I mean, I'm definitely not big pimping by any stretch of the imagination.
Join the club.
Eventually, I'd like to get a little bit of kit here and there, some cheap pieces to kind of outfit and offset, but yeah. For ease and purpose, I also, even though I named a bunch of like hardcore hardware gear in that list, uh, most of it was simplistic. I had a chance to build that up very slowly and really get inside each instrument. Um, but I still don't feel like that was a really extravagant setup. Um, I don't know. I kind of like being limited, and I think once we go into the production end of things, I think everyone will see I'm not super techy. Like I'll be the first to admit that. Like I don't have a bunch of plugins. I'm barely computer savvy. I make it work. I'm more of a musician and just approach it as a palette, a way to paint with these refreshing colors. But you know, I do not have a lot of plugins. I do not have a lot of any outboard gear. Like I'm not really fancy with it. I don't know how it ends up happening the way it happens sometimes. To be perfectly honest, a lot of happy accidents. I don't know what else to say.
Well, you've had 20 years of them, so But yeah. So do you want to take us into? I'll make you host and take us into
Okay.
the DAW and
Oh yeah. So I'm going back to being, I guess, kind of old school and putting limits on myself. I currently use Logic 9. I am not on Logic X. Um, I I know Logic X seems like it's cool, but I'm so used to working in Logic 9. The learning curve was really insane. It took me a very long time and a lot of mistakes to getting to the place where I feel uh, comfortable working with it. I have to give props to Charles Noel and John Tejada. I was on the phone so much with both of them once I went from made the transition to working all on the computer because I didn't have a manual. It was all trial and error, and I was trying not to tear my hair out. A lot of the early all computer based tracks, um, woo, you have no idea how long and how many mistakes I made. Um, for example, the track Hentai that came out on Bittersweet is one of the first all computer based tracks that I made. And I kept making the mistake of not saving my work. So uh, the drum programming, all the drums in that, I played out by hand, all the percussion parts. And so I would get a part, I would get the swing kind of right, I quantize it, and then Logic would crash on me, and I wouldn't have saved what I did and had to keep doing it over and over and over and over. It's maddening.
yeah, because Logic didn't have an auto save, or as far as I
No,
remember, yeah, I lost whole tracks with it, so that was
yeah, I
the
don't. I don't even
the
have.
pain of Logic.
I don't even have it set like that now. So
Yeah, I didn't know that there was one on it. I don't have it either, and it's yeah.
yeah. So I guess while I'm doing my little demonstration and tutorial, I will probably discuss how I am a now compulsive
Saver.
track saver. Like anytime I do anything that I like, it's time to save.
Yeah,
And it's just learning from years of losing losing tracks. Like, oh, that's nice. Boom, it crashes, and I lost it all. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Do you want to? I've made you host Titonton, so would you
Okay. Yeah.
like
Sure.
would you like to jump on and
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm
hey, all
talking
good, all good,
crazy.
all
All
good.
right. So yeah, I am going to open up. Oh, it's already open. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I am going to share the screen on this latest track that I've finished. Um, Bam. Can everyone see that? Great, fantastic. So, name of this track is Disconsolate, which essentially means unable to be made happy. I've been going through a lot personally over the last 6 months and last actually 15 months. Pandemic was really tough on my mental health, and I honestly didn't know if I was going to make it out of 2020 with my sanity intact. And this song is kind of a reflection of that vibe, along with just some personal things I've been through recently as well. So it's kind of gothy, kind of emo vibes for sure. So I'm just gonna kind of play it, um, and I'll stop it every so often and kind of talk about what went on with it. I'm not gonna spend super long on it though, so I'm just gonna start it from the jump. Is everyone cool with that? Give me a thumbs up. Cool. Boom. Okay, so talk about. I'm just gonna stop the music for a second and just talk about. Um, I like kind of a relatively minimal intro for most of my tracks, especially if it's going to be a dance floor track. Um, Mainly percussion there to kind of like set up the mood and the vibe. Um, a lot of DJs that I really like currently influence the tunes that I make. As I said before, um, a lot of my test is, would Daniel Bell play this, or can I imagine this in a Daniel Bell set? A lot of my fills are a tip of the hat to Sam Kern, Sassmouth, because or one of her trademarks is she likes to do a lot of cutting on the last bit of a phrase. So she'll probably be surprised to hear this, but a lot of my fills, I think about her DJing style, and is this something that she could have in her set where she would cut over and have a little cut at the end of a phrase. Um, my favorite plugin, I would say, is Battery, Native Instruments Battery 3. Whenever I'm doing a remix or actually any track, a lot of where the track comes from is in Battery. I use it as a virtual Akai MPC, even though I've never owned one. I can definitely see the appeal. If I pull up Battery, in one of the Battery tracks that I use in this track, I've loaded up a demo kit and I've used that. I'm going to start the track from the beginning again and kind of show you. You can see that these individual cells are being utilized in the percussion. If I solo the track, let me go to my mixer. You can just hear it's just this. With Battery, I love it because you can go into each cell and you can see the waveform here. I often like to clip the end of a track or end of an individual cell to kind of give it more of a clip sound, or I'll go into it and I will add a loop to it to give it a little bit of grit. So taking the loop count down, I'm taking the start count, I'm shortening the length. That's definitely something that I'll do quite often in tracks. I like to do that with vocals a lot. Okay, it looks like we've gone to where that's... I like to do that with vocals a lot. So I'll take that loop back off. You can also modulate the track. You can put effects on it. You can, and this is for each individual cell. I love me some battery. So let's go back to the track, unsolo. The kick is also from that same kit, but I put it on a separate track. So it's right there. As you can see, I've clipped the end of it off to kind of give it a little bit more abrupt. For each sound, you can also adjust the individual volume for each sound, which is, it's crazy. It's crazy. I love battery so much. The kind of, I wanted this to have a little bit of a relief vibe to it in the beginning as well. A little bit of that Chicago Jack kind of Glen Underground meets Relief was kind of the influence. With a lot of the fills, like this one here, I'm gonna highlight it, I'm gonna solo it. Okay, now I'm gonna get off of this. I'm gonna pull up the mixer so you can see the automation that's happening. So you can see I'm bringing up the bass line here. I've used a latch function to record the automation, to bring up the bass line. So the chords are starting to come up. They're right here. Got a phaser on them to kind of give them a spacey effect. Effects all here. This is for the kick drum. So I'm just gonna let this keep playing a bit. Here's another fill. Baseline is a FM sound right here. So now a lot of the song structure, I really like A-B-A structure. So this is the B section. Another fill. Another fill. crazy long fill. Okay, I'm gonna stop it. So yeah, ABA section I like a lot. So a lot of the fills, when I'm building up a track, I'll start off with a 8 or a 16 bar sequence, and I'll build up all the parts to make sure they go together. And most of the time that I spend working on tracks is not actually with the track itself, but it's with the arrangement and trying to smoothly transition from one section to another. Whether that be um, building up the melodic elements, starting with just parts of it and adding a little bit more of it, a little bit more of it, or building up the sounds, dropping out the sounds, or creating a fill that effectively transitions to another section or introduces another part. Um, and it's kind of annoying to listen to me write a full track because I will go back over and over again to say, like, let's say the transition between the intro to where I start to bring the bass line in, and that happens at measure 33. So if I go back to measure 25 and I just go to, say, measure 53, for example. So these are the last 8 bars of the intro. This is going to be my transition into that. And then start to bring up the elements. So if I was working on that track, I literally would spend maybe 45 minutes to an hour just going from measure like 25 or 29 to like measure 37, trying to figure out the best way to transition from the intro to the introduction of the bass line or the other melodic parts. And a lot of times I will solo all of the percussion. I'll export it as a audio file, dry with no effects. As you can see, it says dry drum fill right here. And I will take that section as an audio file. I will put it back into the program, and I'll experiment and run different effects on it until it sounds correct, sounds right to me. And then I will then export that section again with the effects on it, go in and take out all of the percussion that I've affected, and then put it back in as an audio file. That is a really huge trademark of how I program. I mean, nearly every track that I make, that is one of that's it's a trademark. I will take drums out. I will create a fill by exporting that particular section totally dry, putting it back in, experimenting with effects, then exporting it again with the effects, take out all the drum sounds, and hope it sounds good. If it doesn't sound good, I'll try it again. And yeah, oh man, I really think I would annoy the living crap out of people. It's part of the reason why I like collaborating with people, because they kind of push me to not be so meticulous. I love working with John Tejada for that reason. The way that we work together is we just kind of start jamming, and we'll come up with some elements. When one of us plays something that the other one likes and we think it fits, we're like, okay, that's it. Trade seats. We'll trade seats. We'll mess around with it a bit. Okay, that works. trade seats,
Mhm.
and we'll just do that back and forth, and then we'll flush out the arrangement. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Titonton, got some
Yeah.
questions in the chat.
Okay. Yeah.
There's
Please.
some quite persistent requests about your swing and percussion. So Chop says, please could you take us through the percussion layers and how you get that jack? And Adam says, echoing Chog, but any tips on making swing would be awesome. Your swing is why I'm here to BH.
Okay. All right. I will tell you exactly about the swing. I love swing. Um, so the jack is a lot of that is in the kick. And if you were looking through the effects that I utilized, a lot of it, especially the melodic elements, there's either a stereo or a tape delay or a phaser on it. But if you look through everything, the only track that that I've pre EQ'd and limited and added sub bass to, this is the kick drum. The kick drum has its own track. I always have a track just for the kick drum, and I've gone through and I put a limiter on it so I could get a little bit more volume. I've also rolled off 50 hertz and below in order to be able to boost it. I've also rolled off from 10,000 hertz and above to be able to boost it. And I've added a sub bass. So while I have rolled it off, I've went in and really subtly added a sub bass around 50, 60 hertz to give it a little more push and jack. Do that quite often with kick drums. I hope that helps and answers the question about the kicks. With swing, uh, kudos to producers that can get away with unquantized tracks. I unquantized drums kind of drive me crazy. I can't really do it to save my life. Um, I always quantize my drums in here and in some 16 16th note swing. The A through F. The A is a slight percentage of swing. C, which I'm really comfortable with, is a medium amount of swing. And this particular track swings like a MF. So for the whole entire track, I've gone all the way up to 16F. Like this track swings so hard it's almost offbeat. Um, so that's where the swing comes in. I love the swing in a track, although it does make it difficult to mix. Sorry about that. But yeah, tracks that swing, that is my jam. I but it's all in. I do like a feeling of. I don't know if anyone's familiar with mixed meter, 2 against 3. I like tracks to be almost have that element to it. So I like for instance, like a 12/8 time signature, because that's it to me it's 4 groups of 3, but you could also mix a 12/8 track into a 4/4 track. I really like the juxtaposition of a 2 against 3 feel. So yeah, I like my tracks to swing so hard that it's almost a triplet feel. I hope that answers the question. I don't know. Uh, can you unmute Danny?
Yeah,
Okay.
and someone was asking about the chords. Jan
Yeah.
was asking about chords. So do you have, because you've got your signature sort of chords, haven't you? Your
Yeah.
signature tuning. Is it a certain scale, or is it a certain, like, is it, a key, or?
Okay. So yeah, I like to write. I prefer minor keys. Um, or if you want to talk, I also like modal music as well. If you want to talk about modes, a standard minor scale is modal wise, it's called the Aeolian mode. And I do like that mode. If I am using a major scale, I like the Mixolydian mode, which is basically where you play through the scale but start on the fifth note of the scale. Um, I do like I like modal motifs, so I like if I'm using a minor key, I do like Dorian and Locrian modes as well. I guess look up modal music and modal scales. As far as chords, I am obsessed with minor sevenths, minor ninths, and minor flatted ninths, and that's essentially it's the based on the minor tonic, and I'm going every other note up to five notes in that particular scale. The funny thing is a lot of that comes from I like jazz, but B, both the Juno 106 and the Matrix 6R are six note polyphony. So I would have five note. Also, you have five fingers. I would have five note chords and use the other available note of polyphony to emphasize usually the tonic or the root of the chord or the third or the fifth. I hope that explains. I hope that's not like too long or like a too much theory of an answer. But
theory's
yeah,
great. Titonton. We need more theory. You know.
I am obsessed with minor ninth chords. As far as like keys, I really like to write in D flat minor and E flat minor. And as funny as it sounds, I like those because they have a lot of the black notes. And when you're playing the black notes, you can I don't know, it's really comfortable for me to do scales and runs when they have a lot of the black notes. And D flat minor and E flat minor mostly have black notes. So a lot of the music that I write is in those particular keys for those reasons. I do really like the sound of C minor and D minor, but almost everything I write is in E flat minor or D flat minor.
And your keyboard playing, Titonton.
Yeah, I can play.
Is it hard to hold back sometimes on the tracks? You know. I mean,
Yes and no. Not really. I guess that would come in where if you would see me live, I play a lot on my live PAs. I kind of leave a lot of room for that playing. I don't really go crazy with it, but for example, tracks like Alleyways on the 2000 Black release, I really kind of gave it a chance to show the playing in the middle section of that. I feel like there's a bit of soloing in that, and yeah, I mean, not trying to like pat myself on the back, but like a lot of the kind of solo type parts that you will hear in tracks that I make, crazy enough, they are usually one take without any editing. Like for example, in this particular track, there is a little bit of soloing. I think around measure, it's either 129 or 145, and I'll go to that really quickly. And that was done in one take. Let me see if I can find this part. It's the upper string part. 45s, I think, when it starts. Yeah. So yeah, listen to the upper melody. Oh, where is it? It's muted up. It's not even in there. I don't see it. I don't hear it. Wow, I just made myself look really silly because I don't see that in here. Sorry. Anyway, yeah, should we just for a couple of minutes like build a quick track from scratch? Is anyone interested in that?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
if anyone has anyone got any more questions about this track? Do you think you've covered everything that you want to in this Titonton?
I feel good about it. I'm sorry I
Yeah.
spent so long on it.
No worries at all. Is everyone cool? Shall we move on to Titonton building a track? And please don't do it for a couple of minutes, Titonton. Please
Okay.
do it for as long as you can.
Okay.
Like,
Sure.
yeah, people are really excited to hear you make some music.
Oh god. Okay. So yeah, ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing the screen. You're not going to see anything for a bit, and I'm going to reshare once I've loaded up a blank track. So everyone, that's going to happen. So sorry. All right. I am loading up a new track right now, and I'm singing while I'm doing it. Boom,
I'm
boom, boom.
excited to see you play keyboard to Tonton.
Oh, come on. You know, you're going to make me.
You know what I mean? We've got some keyboard players in the group, by the way.
Yeah, I'm sure some people that can definitely play me under the table, and that's okay.
They're shaking their heads.
Uh, all
But yeah,
right.
like just go to town to Tonton, you know what I mean? Like just
Sure.
as deep theory as you like, really, because there's
Okay.
definitely some people, you know, it's a mixed group, but there's definitely quite a few musicians in the group, and there's people
Okay,
who
cool.
sound like it's, so don't hold back.
Okay, cool. I hope I wasn't sounding too crazy then or totally off my on my BS when I was talking about it. But yeah, I minor keys, modes, especially if I'm going to be doing something in a major, give me all the Mixolydian. I love Mixolydian mode. All right, so I've got a track with absolutely nothing in it. Can everybody see that? Good to
Wow.
go. So I'm going to start off with I'm going to turn this down a little bit. I'm going to start off with some drums. I really like the sound of the 808. I have three different sources for the 808. I have the internal sampler, the EXS24. I have the Ultra Beat, which is the internal drum programmer for Logic, and I also have there's a 808 kit in battery as a demo kit. For the most flexibility, I would probably go towards battery for the 808 kit. So I am going to pull up battery. It is a Native Instruments plugin. Battery 3 in stereo. And there it is. It's blank. And I am going to go to demo contents and put in the 808 kit. So bam, there's an 808 kit right there. And I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to create a 9-bar loop. I'm going to loop it. And I am just going to I'm going to turn the actual drum sounds down and turn the master up so I can hear the click, because even though I can play drums, my rhythm is terrible. So I'm gonna put in a simple hi-hat part. Okay, so got that. I'm okay with it. I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna select all of it. I'm gonna quantize it. I'm gonna do a middle swing on it. So a 16C swing. I'm gonna listen to it to make sure it sounds okay. Okay, so I can do something with that. I'm gonna go into the track. I'm gonna create a new track with a duplicate setting. So I've got another track, but it has all those sounds. I'm gonna add just a straightforward kick. I might do a couple little fills at the maybe every 4 bars, just to give it a little funk. But I'm also, when I quantize it, I'm also gonna have the swing match. It's gonna be a 16C swing to give it a little bit of swing. Ooh, that was sloppy at the end. Let's see if the quantize works on it. If not, I might either redo it or move it around. Okay, boom. Let's listen to it. I'm gonna go to bar 5 because the first 4 sounded fine. Okay, yeah, that works. So I'm gonna keep that. I'm gonna go ahead and, since I like that, I'm going to save it. Save as Masterclass Jam, and just get in the habit of just saving it. Yeah, because I was jamming before. Let's replace it. So I've got that. Let's go. I'm going to pull up a kit in the internal sampler, the EXS24. Let's go new track, software instrument. Let's do EXS24 stereo. Let's go to percussion, drums, electronic drums. Let's do this breaks kit. I like this kit a lot. I use it a lot. For some reason, one of the sounds is missing. And I am going to add a snare. Some type of snare on the 2 and 4. Maybe I'll make it tricky. I don't know. We'll see. Like I said, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just building a track from scratch. I'm jamming for you all. So that is loud. Let's turn that down. Kind of like that. But I want it to be a little bit lower in tone. So tone's right here. I'm going to take it down. Ooh, that's nice. That's going to be, yeah, I like that. Okay, let's do something with that. Start it from the top instead of 1. Bam, let's go. Yeah, let's use that. So a little funky with it. I'm gonna go here and quantize it again. Got it. What I'm gonna do with this though is, if you see the duration, I'm going to, all the is selected, I'm going to clip it a little bit to make it a little bit shorter. So I'm taking all the clippings down just to like make it sound a little bit clipped. It's already kind of a gated snare. I'm gonna make it sound a little bit more gated. Okay, so I got my basic beat. Yeah, that's cool. Just to give it a little bit more depth, I'm going to add either a tape delay or a stereo delay to the snare to give it a little bit more action and vibe. So let's go in here and, like I said, I don't have a lot of fancy anything. This is all like, I've got the native instruments going, the battery 3, but everything else, like, that's the internal sampler. These are the internal effects. I'm gonna add, let's add a tape delay to it, kind of that dubby vibe. I love a tape delay. Let's do it on the eighth note, and I'm going to alter the hertz so it's not super cutting. I'm going to turn the dry part up, turn the wetness up a little bit, and see what that sounds like. Actually, let's take it to 16th note and see if that... No, let's keep it on 8th and take this up. Okay, I'm gonna change the... Yeah, and I think I'm gonna keep messing with the snare a little bit. I'm gonna add maybe another effect. I think I'm gonna add a modulate it, and maybe either add a phaser or a flanger. I feel like that needs to be a little funky. Yeah, I'm with that. So yeah, it just gives the snare a little bit of flavor. I would probably then add another snare because that now becomes like almost a melodic element. So I'm gonna add the snare from the EXS24, but I'm going to use the 808 kit in that. Actually, no, I want a 909 clap. Classic sound. So I'm gonna go in here, boom, stereo, yes, new one, percussion, acoustic, 909, building kit, all right. Okay, let's turn that down. Yeah, feel that groove, so I'm gonna record that. Just put it in there really straightforward. Okay. Okay, straightforward. I'm gonna go in. I'm going to quantize it because I like really tight drums. And I'm going to keep everything on the 16C quantize. Boom. Okay, so that's good groove. I'm going to save it. I like it. So that's at least a... Yes, replace. That's at least kind of a enough of a groove to kind of start laying something down. So I think now I'm gonna try some chords. Put a new track in there. Duplicate, no, new. Okay, software instrument. Let's put some chords real quick. Let's go to, I love the Arturia Lab 2 sounds. All right. Takes a little bit. It's a pretty large grouping of sounds. Oh no, we don't need to do that. Let's go to pads because I love pads. Let's see what this one sounds like. We're gonna go with that. I'm not even gonna do it. So, we can either do. So that's a D flat. Minor, that's a D flat minor 9. I like the sound of that. Yeah, so we're gonna do this in D. The first chord is gonna be D flat minor 9. I'm gonna be in the key of D flat minor, and I'm probably gonna go 1, 2, 7 for my chords. So that's gonna be okay. I'm just gonna play it. Sorry. Okay, so I've got the chords. I'm going to get them in there. I'm going to quantize them as well. And boom. And because the first chords, when I actually played them, they started after the beat, I'm going to be sneaky, take these and move them over just a bit. Yep. Okay, cool. Save it. Ooh, I want to same amount of swing. Sure. Save. All right, chords. Okay, so now I need a bass line. I'm just gonna let this keep going and just keep rolling. Okay, I'll record that. Oh, I do not like that. Let's take that out and get rid of that. Let's do something else. Not like that. Oop. I just erased the chords by accident. So let me. I might exit out of here because I accidentally erased the chords and I didn't want to do that. So I will just actually record them again.
Titonton.
Okay. Yeah.
You can just hit Command Z and it'll put them back in, I think.
No?
Yeah. Yeah, hit undo.
I think.
Yep. I'm gonna take it back. You are all correct, and I messed up. So sorry. All right, let's go back to it. This is called Masterclass Jam. Bam. Okay. That worked for me. I work super backwards. I make mistakes all the time, but yeah. So I'm going to start a bass line. So I like that. I'm gonna take a little bit of the resonance down, frequency. I'm gonna put a little delay on that. Give it some, maybe a stereo delay. Maybe do like a high ostinato, something like a little flavor.
Titonton,
But
would it be possible?
yeah, what's up?
Sorry, could you shut down some of, you've got all the
Oh
sound
yeah,
clips and stuff
I've got all these
yeah.
up. Yeah.
Is that
So,
alright? Just because it's
Yeah,
just
sure,
a
yeah.
sort of wall of the
Yeah,
XS24.
Sorry, y'all.
All good. All good.
Okay, yeah. I was getting a little wild there. Sorry. Bam. I don't want this in here at all. Let me shut this guy down. He doesn't want to shut down.
You just have to click the X, I think.
Yeah.
On the top left. See the X on it?
It's giving me a little error that I haven't encountered before. So, how much time do we have? Are we running short of time?
If plugin settings that you lowered down there, if you lift that up again
Yeah.
and then you hit cancel, see that? If you keep going, lift it up.
Yeah,
see
there
cancel.
it is.
If you click cancel,
you got it.
That'll get rid of that. And then if you do the cross, that'll get rid of that.
It's weird because of the sharing. So sorry.
Don't worry.
Yeah, I don't. It's not letting me access. It's not letting me pull down.
Okay.
So,
no worries.
So, yeah, sorry. But yeah, how are we on time?
Yeah, just keep going to Titonton.
Okay, cool. I like that. Not quite that, so let's go ahead and take that out. Nope, let's undo. Let's do another track with that setting, and let's go ahead and put that little part in there. Yeah, I'm feeling that. Let's go ahead, quantize this piece. Bam. 16C yet again. Bam. Let's save it. Bam. Yes. Let's put a crazier delay on this. I like it, but let's go wild with delay. So if I like these elements here, I really like the high part. If I was started to think about writing a B section, I would like mute all the other melodic elements, the bass line and the chords. So and then I would find a different sound and change the chords on this that go with this ostinato. I kind of like that bit. I'm going to record that. Not feeling that. I like the sound, but not the bass line. Let's see if I can find something that really fits. That's enough with noodling for a bit. Uh, I think I'm good to see if anybody has any questions or yeah. Um,
I mean, Titonton, it's great watching you create. So, I mean, if you've gone as far as you can, but I'm sure people would be happy to. If you want to keep going, that's fine. Or do you just want to talk? What's your feeling?
yeah, I mean we can talk for a bit. I
Hmm?
can jam a bit, but yeah, I
Yeah.
mean this is essentially
Nah, it
what
sounds
it's
wicked. I love
what
those
it's
chords, man.
what it's like when I'm like I don't know writing a track. So
Oh,
yeah, it's how
yeah.
it's programmed.
So, what's everyone saying then? So, Zach says, "Can you make a reverse drum fill?" Which
Yeah, I mean that's such like a I can like Zach send me a DM. That's like real like I'm not trying to be funny, but it's like really like one of
specific.
my big trademarks, and I don't know if I want to give that up. To be perfectly honest, but yeah, send me a DM and we can chat about it.
Remember, the exercise tonight is not how can we all be Titonton. It's how can we all be ourselves, but be as good as Titonton. Hopefully one day. Yeah, but yeah. So, anyone got any questions, folks? Anyone got any burning questions? There's some interest in the Arturia stuff, Titonton.
Okay, so yeah, the Arteria is dope. I really like the believe it or not, so the controller that I use is this Arturia Keylab 49. And with it came the Arturia Analog Lab 2. And it's basically, it's not all of their synth set, but it's kind of like their greatest hits of all of their analog keyboard kind of knockoffs, replicas. So Mini Moog and ARP Odyssey. A lot of the Jupiter and the JX series like are kind of like analog modeled in the Arteria series. You can get a lot of I think they sound really great, by the way. But yeah, what came with this controller keyboard was that analog lab 2, and it's a few thousand sounds that's like the greatest hits of the whole Arturia series. If you ever see those plugins for sale, like the group packaging of them, get them. I think they sound really great. As a matter of fact, if anyone wants to get me a birthday or holiday gift, that would be it because sounds awesome. I would love to have the full suite. I do not own it. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
We could do like some crowdfunding to get you the full kit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So,
Um,
questions, folks. What's everyone wanting to ask to Tonton? Anything about this track? Any production stuff? I want the Arteria stuff. I think I'm first in line for the crowdfunder folks. No. But yeah.
okay.
So, has anyone? So I've got some questions for you to Tonton. How do you
Yeah,
go?
sure.
How do you go from this to a full track? Do you like work on small sections, or do you just make like a copy of everything for like 5 minutes and then like mute bits out? How do and you like to go over different parts, don't you? You said really small parts of.
Yeah.
So do you make a full
Yeah.
arrangement?
So
Sorry, on you go.
yeah. So no. So there's two different ways I go about doing a track. It's mainly how much time I have and how much attention and detail I want to get. Both of them are insane and take up way too much time. What I'm used to, and before I was computer based, a lot of people ask me about my drum programming and my tracks and all that. I think this will shock people. I did not use loops until I started using a laptop to produce. So every track that I made from my first releases all the way through to everything I made up until 2001, 2002, every single part of every single track was played. So every kick drum, every clap, every snare, every chord, every bass line, I would go in and I would play it either for 32 bars and then go back and play the other parts on top of it. And then I would sit down with a piece of paper and kind of like plan out where the track was going to change or how I was going to change it, how I was going to do the chord changes or the structural changes. So really crazy way to do that. And actually with my live PAs, I you're gonna be think that I'm insane. I will take the sounds from either tracks that I've previously made or that are made just for the live. For the most part, I will write within battery. I will sample and resample the tracks, and I will write. If I'm doing an hour long live PA, I will write the drum tracks for an hour long of a live PA, and then build up the melodic elements using the battery as a virtual MPC, sometimes sampling riffs, sometimes not, and go that route. And it is absolutely crazy. It takes me about 12 weeks to put a live PA together. There is a lot of room for improvisation, but for the most part, I write an hour long drum track, which is insane. I know. Going back to making an arrangement, I like being able to, yeah. So if I was going to flush this out into a full track, I would make sure that all the loops are 8 bars long. I would copy them all. I'd start at measure 9, and then I would copy and paste all the way out to most of my tracks are about 192 bars long. If this track was 100 beats per minute, I'd probably speed it up a little bit. It's 6 minutes and 24 seconds long. It's a pretty good length. And then, yeah, through a process of muting and going in each individual part and taking out. So I like this bass line or this other bass line or this melody. Maybe I just take out all the top 2 notes or the whole. And I like build it up that way. And then I do that for this section. Then I go back and I add the whole entire thing. Or I would go into the rhythm track and I would take out the last 4 beats of the last measure of the 8-bar sequence. And then I would go to another track and I would play a drum fill in and I would build a track that way. And yeah, it takes me forever to do a track because I am way too concerned with how to smoothly build a track and transition from one section to another.
So, Titonton, is it fair to say then that you kind of get really bogged down in the details? Do you really sort of focus on, like, so you can't just listen to it all the way through, you kind of go, oh, at that bit, and then do you get really zoned in on a certain bit?
Yes, absolutely. Like yeah. It's part of the I guess maybe disadvantage of being computer based or yeah, definitely get bogged down in the details. Like it's really tough for me to let things go when I'm using a computer. Like if I feel like a note hits, a 30-second of a beat too early because I'm using a swing, then I'll go in and try and move that one note. Or if I've applied velocity and a higher note sticks out and I'm all the way at 127, I might go into that one note and take that particular note down to 100 instead of 127. Yeah, I'm that guy that spends that much time on.
Titonton,
Yeah.
are you as particular in other areas of your life? Is that a metaphor for your character or not?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So you're meticulous then in what you do.
I mean, I can let things go. I like to cook a lot, and I can definitely let a lot slide with that. I'm really weird about time. I'm a messy person, but when it comes to music, and I had to learn to let a lot go with my DJing. I actually, I'd probably say I like 5% of my DJ sets, maybe even 2%. But I've learned over the years to just kind of let it go and be what it is. With tracks, it's kind of more permanent, and I really struggle with attention to detail. I don't know what else to say. In other aspects of my life, maybe not so much. Now that I think of it, I'm pretty messy. I don't think I'm very fashionable. I don't know.
Yeah. So has anyone got any questions for Titonton? I noticed there was a few people asking specific production questions. So I
Yeah,
think you've
sure.
got some fans in the group. So any hardcore Titonton fans have got anything? Feel free to speak, by the way, if you want to switch your mic on,
Yeah,
or camera on.
yeah. Please Q&A. Let's go. Let's get it. What do you
Okay,
want to know?
Michael's got a question, but it's really nerdy.
Okay, I don't care.
I'm really sorry about this one. It's just because I never ever see anyone else using Logic 9, and I've got it, but it's like it's sort of like it's getting so left behind by the operating system
Yeah, it
updates that
is.
it's kind
Yeah,
of it's like becoming difficult to almost keep it running like a vintage car. Can you just
yeah.
tell me what operating system you're running at the moment that it's
Uh,
like a new
I
one that it still works with?
I think it's
It'll tell you.
I think I'm on El Capitan. I'm pretty.
Right,
Yeah.
okay,
Let me double check because I'm so like, yeah, I'm on El Capitan. Yeah.
cool,
And
thanks.
so what I've been thinking of doing is actually getting a separate machine, one for strictly for running Logic, and then the other for everything else, so I can kind of keep this
Yeah,
archaic Logic 9
yeah,
going.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's basically what I've got, but it's like as time goes on, it's getting harder and harder.
it
Like,
really is.
yeah, there's no
I
easy way around it.
there isn't. So I just it's difficult to let go.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what it's like when if you like it and it works. The thing I've got mine still running on Snow Leopard, which is like
okay.
10.6, and the thing
Yep.
is, it just works. It never crashes. It works really well. So
Right.
I'm really reluctant to leave it because the new one might crash or whatever. Yeah, but anyway, thanks for that. That's really helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. No worries. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
Logic 9's nice. I've got Logic 9 on a couple of. I've got it on an iMac and I've got it on an old MacBook Pro. I like it. It's weird going back to it. The kind of zoom in and zoom outs are in different places and stuff. It's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah. So Adam says he wants everyone to ask production questions, but after that he wants to ask you something about Broken Beat.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, any production questions for Titonton? Any?
Um,
Yeah.
Titonton, hi. Could I
Hey.
ask what pad you were using in Arturia on this demo track that you were just making? Because it's super nice, and I've got that analog plugin, and it's sick. But I haven't
it's
come
good.
across that pad before. It's lovely.
I was using there's one called, they're both kind of at the base of them organ sounds. I think one's called opening pad, and is called something like organique or something like that. So
Okay.
yeah, if you go to your O's, they're there.
Nice. I'll check it
Yeah,
out.
some really nice pads in there. I'm sure you've run across some that you love, and likewise, it just
Yeah,
sounds so
it's
good.
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
I've got a question I've got a couple of questions to Tonton that are a bit more artist based rather than production based.
Sure.
How did you get all those record deals on all those really cool labels in you know, and because you've released on some very cool labels, and then running your own label is like a double part question.
Ooh, we.
What do you think the advantages are of having your own label, and what, you know, like, would you recommend it, or you know, has it been a nightmare, you know, etc.? So
The record deals, that's like luck. I mean, that's really like people hearing what I've done in the past and thinking that they like my sound and style and that they could incorporate it into their catalog. And I always am very surprised when certain labels say, "Hey, would you be interested in releasing something for me?"
so they
Yeah,
hit
the
you
thing
up.
thing would be, yes. I'm in the fortunate position to um, be hit up. I I don't like ego in the music scene, so I sometimes have a difficult time talking about the extremely grateful and fortunate position that I'm in. But I have not had to send out demos in years. It's always in the last 15 years, all been requests from labels. Um, and
Great.
how do I say this? On my current production, I guess, workplace, there are 8 remixes, 2 albums. I want to say 8 to 9 EPs, and 4 various artists. So basically, the next 50 to 60 tracks that I make are spoken for if they fit with the label's vision. So I have no I don't have a vault of tracks. I have no tracks that have not been picked up or signed. I think I may have one.
So do you
Which
have
is
to? I was to say, do you have to
yeah,
write
go
all
ahead.
that stuff then? Do you have to write all that stuff to Tonton, or is
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
that?
I have
So it's not
no,
written yet.
I have no available tracks. Like
Oh my
I
god.
think I maybe have one track that is not signed. So yeah, it's an amazing position to be in, but also a bit overwhelming. So
Mm.
if I do get a request to do something, um, sometimes I will flat out say no. Um, I ask everyone to be very patient. I don't like deadlines. I like to create when I'm feeling something or there's something inspiring me. Um, I honestly don't really like to create even with a record label in mind. I like to just express myself, create a track, and if I think it fits the sound of a particular label that's made a request, I will send it off. Often what happens is I'll be totally wrong, and they'll say, I actually not really into that. And then, fortunate for me, I've got other labels that are waiting on music, and I'll send it to them and they'll say, yes, this works, it fits. So yeah, I'm really super, super, super grateful that there's so much of an interest.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then running residual. Um, how? I mean, do you think that's benefited your career, or do you think that that was maybe sometimes stressing you because it was a lot of businessy stuff? How did you find it?
I like it. Uh, Part of the name residual is because a lot of the first releases and even some now, it's all music that other labels have turned down,
Hmm.
believe it or not, that I particularly happen to like or think can be enjoyed. Um, as a matter of fact, the the Boo Williams release, the second release, which people love that release. I think it's an incredible release. That was slated to be released on Casual. It never happened. Um, all the tracks from the Todd Signs double pack, those are all reject tracks from various labels. Um, the John Tahade EP #4, that EP was supposed to come out on the Derek May Fragile label. That never happened. So yeah, Residual was kind of a place for the Misfit tracks for a bit. Um, Now it's kind of become more of a either a launching pad or just like when I'm out touring, people play music for me when we're like riding from the airport to the venue or wherever. And I've heard so many tracks that way. And I'm like, yo, what is this? And they'll be like, oh, this is my track. I'm like, excuse me? Yeah, this is my track. Like, what are you doing with this? Oh, I'm like, skirt. I need this. I want to put this out. Or people will send me tracks to play in DJ sets, and I'll say, hey, yo, this is absolute flames. What's going on with this? Oh, I was just messing about. Like, are you joking me? Like, who's putting this out? Like, oh, I have no idea. Snatch. So it's become a kind of a platform for a lot of newer, undiscovered artists. Or yeah, ugh. Yeah, it's a lot of work, and it's definitely a labor of love. I lose money on every release, especially since the relaunch of the label, for sure. I've either just broken even or lost money on every release since 18. I'm up to 25 now, so 7 releases in. Um, I haven't profited anything. It's all been either breaking even or a loss. So I would say to anyone that's thinking about doing a label, cool. But if you're thinking of it to be a money making venture, you should forget that right away.
Yeah, yeah,
And I think this all too well.
yeah.
Like every once in a while, you'll stumble on something, but it's kind of to have your say in what's out there.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much music. I know when I'm like digging for tracks, not trying to diss anyone, I'll hear so much crap, and I'm like, yo, my homie over here in Croatia or little town in France is making music so that has so much more feeling than this. Like, yo, I've got to put this out. I've got to have a say in what's out there and what's available. That's a lot of why I like running a label.
So it's like kind of almost a public service as well, isn't it? If you think about it, you're
at this
taking
point,
a stand,
yeah.
aren't you?
I mean, I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger, and like to be able to encourage people that I feel are doing solid work and have a place for them to get their music out and get it heard. Like, oh, absolutely yes. I mean, Madej from Split, Croatia. This dude is ridiculous. He just put his first track out on vinyl this year. I've got 5 tracks from him set aside. He's gonna have 1 track on a various artist, and then he's doing a 4-track EP. When I tell you these tracks are out of control, like over the top good, like I could not believe that they weren't signed. I still blown away.
Mm.
It's like, are you joking me? Dude is so good, and there are so many people like that have just slipped through the cracks or just like really shy about what they do. And I'll hear it, and I'm like, this is so amazing. I have to put this out. This has to be out there. Like,
Yeah.
oh man, like
Yeah.
your boy Teacup from that lives here, prolific and ridiculous. One of the baddest producers you will ever hear. I have to release this dude's music. It is solid. People need to hear it. Ah.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I know Teacup from your label. Yeah, Teacup's definitely really good. Got a couple of questions to Tonton. Chog, how many would you write and not release in the process of producing those 50 to 60 tracks? Does everything get released to Tonton?
Yeah, I've been lucky to have everything that I've ever made is out there.
Wow. So you don't have any residual tracks then?
No, I have I have no vault. I have 0 tracks in the vault. It's kind of crazy. I would hope that everything that I make that's upcoming finds a home. And if it doesn't, I rarely finish anything that I don't like.
Mhm.
If it doesn't find a home, it'll find a home on residual. So there it is.
Yeah. Excuse me. Drew says, if it's not top secret info, what is the label you are going to release Disconsolate on?
Disconsolate is going to be on residual. It's going to be on a various artists 12-inch. So yep, that's not a secret. Yep.
And Vinny, sorry.
Yeah.
And on you go to Tonton.
No, I just haven't decided what pairing of artists I'm going to put that on. But yeah, Disconsolate is going to be on my various artist series is called Refraction. And I don't know if I'm going to put it on number 6, which is next, or number 8. It'll probably be on number 6, but I might have to bump another artist off of that. I have not decided who all is going to be on Refraction Volume 6, but to say that I have this is kind of crazy to say. I probably have 8 to 9 EPs worth of music to release on residual from quite a few artists, and only Disconsolate and a remix are from me. I've got stacks of amazing tracks that I can't wait to get out there.
Great. So Vinny was asking, this is quite a topical to what you're just talking about. Where do you do your A&R for your label typically? Or how?
Yeah. It's once again, it's being in the really ridiculously fortunate position. Most of the music gets sent to me to DJ. There are some people that ask me for production advice on a track, or if I like it, and I've been sent some incredible music that way, and I will, if it really hits me right, I'll say, hey, sure, I can give you a little bit of advice, but if this track is not spoken for, would you be interested in releasing it? Yeah, it's usually items that are sent to me to DJ out, and then I'll find out if it's already assigned to a label or no. Either that, or when I'm traveling, people will play music for me, and I'll get excited and ask what it is, and if it's from the promoter or their friend, then yeah, I'll inquire. Yeah, it's come to think of it, like just kind of chatting with people. The A&R almost like happens by accident. I don't. There are artists I would like to release, but it's mainly me getting sent tracks to DJ out and liking them so much that if they're not signed, I want to release them.
Yeah, and do you think, Titonton, it's fair to say that part of the availability of the music is because you're working with people that are falling through the cracks a little bit and stuff? But you know, you get some people who they don't have any tracks because or they've got, you know, they're signed, they've got all their stuff signed for the next 2 years. So do you think that
Yeah.
might be a benefit of you being connected to more the underground?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there are a lot of people doing amazing work. A lot of great DJs who are just getting into producing. A lot of promoters who are dabbling in producing, just doing super solid work, and just meet them while touring. And yeah, really looking forward to getting back to that soon. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I just want to say to the group that you might have heard of Fritz Wentink and you might have heard of Sweely, and I actually was fortunate enough to hear their work well before they ever got any releases, and that was like Titonton says, that was back at someone's flat after a gig, getting wasted, and you know they put
yeah,
something on, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? And they're like,
right.
oh, it's this guy called Fritz Wentink, or you know, Stephen.
Steve, yeah,
Yeah, and he, you know, and he was working as a cleaner, you know, or something like that, you know, and you know what I mean. And then now, obviously, years later, he's building modular synthesizers and has obviously made like, you know, 100 records. And so, do not ever think that because you're in, you know, maybe obscurity, no one knows who you are. You might have the dopest shit going. It's just that no one's sort of said, "Hey, that's really good," you know. Maybe you've got to say that to yourself, you know.
I mean, that's what happened with me. Like I was making music for years before it was Dan Curtin that first kind of encouraged me to release my music. He heard a couple tracks I just made. My friend Charles Noel, Archetype, he made a series of cassette compilations, and I made some tunes. I'm like, yeah, sure, put them on there, whatever. And it made it in the hands of Dan Curtin, and Dan Curtin was like, called me and was like, yo, this is dope. Like, what's up? Can I get an EP? And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I hadn't had any records out. So he used two tracks from there, and I made two new tracks, and there it is. And then it kind of like snowballed from there. People heard that release. You know, I got a little bit more confidence. I sent out a bunch of demos, got a bunch of rejection letters, and then but then other people started asking for music, and then Residual started a few years after that, so that was kind of a platform. Yeah, and just kind of snowballed. So yeah, definitely if you feel like you're making something worthwhile, keep doing it. It will eventually lands in of the hands of someone that will push you. And that's definitely grateful to Dan Curtin for giving me a chance. And yeah, I don't know if I ever would have had the confidence to really do it had he not asked.
Yeah, and that reminds me of Rick Wade's story about I think Mike Huckabee and was it Daniel Bell? Did they all work together at Record Time? And I think,
So many people worked at Record Time,
but
but
yeah,
yeah,
but they sort of like similar to what, you know, Dan Curtin did with you. They sort of said, "Hey, these tunes are great," and he was like, "Really?" You know, and so it's really shows you that trying to have a little bit of a community around you of other producers is so helpful. Like, yeah, for example, the guy who ran the local record store with me gave me a load of acapellas and said, "Look, make me some bootlegs," you know, because you know, and that's how I started making records. So,
oh
you
wow,
know,
okay,
yeah, yeah, it was just bootleg, you know, it was like Aaliyah and you know, Missy Elliott and all that, and was just like, make me some stuff with some rap on it because he knew that I was a good producer. But I was too nervous to do anything, so he thought if I did some bootlegs, that would make me kind of less nervous about the music. Does you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, no, I get it, yeah,
If you've got
sure,
Q-tip on your tune, it doesn't sound so bad, you know. Like,
right, yeah.
yeah. So Adam's asking any tips on mix downs, Titonton?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm terrible. That is 100% not my strength. Um, my the only tip I guess I really would say is when you're doing it, I would do it at a very low volume and on crappy speakers. I know it sounds weird. Your most important thing should be a balance between the sounds, and watch your bass and your highs. Um, I almost always roll off the low end when I'm EQing, um, maybe 60 hertz down. Uh, they can make that rock when your record's getting mastered. Um, outside of that, yeah, I'm terrible. Uh, I just try and make it as clean as possible. The levels between all the sounds, um, nothing really sticking out too crazy, and yeah, thank goodness for great mastering engineers. That's all I can really say. Yeah, I'm not great.
Yeah. The funny thing is, for me, is definitely I have to say the mastering was much better about 2008 to 2010. No
Yeah.
offense, mastering engineers today, but I'm like, yeah, my production's got worse, and I'm like, no, it's the mastering's worse now. Yeah,
Wow.
that's all. Yeah. I wish I was joking. Yeah. So anyone, sorry, mastering engineers. Yeah. Anyone else got any questions for Titonton? Any burning production or artist questions, or you know, etc. No? Yes? No? Looks like we're out of questions to
Okay,
Tonton.
cool. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh,
No?
someone says dream collabs.
That's a good
Um,
one.
okay, that is. Okay, so maybe it is a mystery to people. I really want to do an album that doesn't care anything about the dance floor at all. I actually have a label in mind for that, and I guess I am going to submit a demo here in about 6 months. Um, and there will be quite a few vocalists, as well as collabs, dream collabs. I don't know if anyone is familiar with Space Captain that has released on True Thoughts. I want to collab with that vocalist so bad. Um, like number one uh, vocalist, also Napalm from Hiatus Coyote. Please, I would love to work with her. Um, let me think. Like dream. Like, are you kidding me? That'll never happen.
Prince?
Yeah, he's passed. One collab that actually did happen, but didn't go well as far as like, and you'll never hear it. Is I still can't believe this happened. I actually, in Dollar Hill Studios, worked on a track with Digo. You that will never come out. It just uh, wasn't gelling that day. It was a okay track, but he didn't like it. That was kind of a dream that even even happened. Um, yeah, I don't know. That is a tough question. Just offhand, it's kind of those two vocalists I'd really would love to collab
Do,
with.
do you have connections with True Thoughts to Tonton?
Um,
I do.
I don't.
Robert,
So
it's run by Robert Lewis or Robert Louis.
okay,
So
so let's
I can connect you with him if you want.
yeah, Space Captain, the vocalist of Space Captain. I have to work with her.
Hmm.
So yeah,
Cool.
I know I sound crazy. Um, maybe do something with Georgia Ann Muldrow that is across the board, probably my current favorite producer. Ridiculous. I think we do something pretty incredible. That'd be a dream collab. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, cool. So, any final questions? I think that's probably it, folks. We've gone on quite a bit longer than we intended to.
Yeah.
Apologies that we didn't start the music earlier. It always seems to be a bit like that. So I need to make a little post-it note for myself to start the music bit a bit earlier. So
Yeah.
thank you to Tonton for your, hard work, time, and talent, and for being such a, friendly, humble person to do a masterclass. Thank you so much.
No, it was a great experience. Kind of got the wheels turning. Yeah,
That
I've got
tune
the.
was, tune was sounding good, man.
You really think so? It
Yeah,
was all right.
yeah. I know, but the ecstasy chords that you played in on the B section, when you put the new chords in, I was just
Yeah.
like, I just wished I was out at like 6 a.m. So
Yeah,
it was
right.
working
Yeah,
for me.
Yeah, that's the vibe. So yeah, we'll see what's up. Yeah, I don't know what's coming out next. I do know that I've got to finish some remixes that are well overdue, and I've got to finish this album. I really can't wait for people to hear this album. It's called Permanence and Gravitas, and the tempos are all over the place. It's going to be 8 to 10 tracks, and we're going for a either 70-30% or 60-40%, the higher percentage being non-dance floor. So I don't care about the dance floor. I'm trying to make music. So
Yeah,
yeah.
sounds great, Titonton. Yeah, I'll be bugging you to hear some, because I got to hear your Tears for Fears album about 7 years ago. So I'll be bugging you to hear some of the nearly finished stuff.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so huge. And listen, thanks everyone for being part of this. Me and Titonton couldn't do this without you guys and girls. So thank you so much for being part of this and for being such a great crew and your interest and sort of supporting what I'm doing and what Titonton's doing. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. So let's call it an evening. Any questions for Titonton that you can think of afterwards? Go on the Discord. If you're not on the Discord, by the way, get on the Discord, because it's a bloody big resource full of people talking about music and sharing. There's, plugins, software. There's, people sharing tips. There's, all sorts on there. It's basically, the Discord is where it's happening. So read the message on your Patreon inbox from me, the one that said, please reply and please, acknowledge that you got this message, which no one ever replies to. I don't take it personally, honest. So just get involved, please. So thank you to Tonton.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, really appreciate you. Take care, man. See you guys. Bye.